Well, welcome to Monday Minute for Monday, October 3rd. And I want to share some announcements with you. This is Frank Dunbar, your Minister of Congregational Care, coming to you from Newburgh United Methodist Church. And I want to share some things that will be helpful as far as announcements go as you look forward to the next week and upcoming events for us here. First and foremost, really, a huge thank you to the rummage sale team, the volunteers, and all the folks who assist in our rummage sale. I'm sure we don't know exactly yet the full amount of revenue gained, but at the same time, somebody does and will be telling us. But the truth of the matter is there is a lot of support and a lot of wonderful social activity that precedes and during the rummage sale as well. So we're thankful for that, and I certainly want to thank all the volunteers who assisted in preparing and setting up and tearing down the rummage sale. Next, I want to mention our ongoing studies or groups that are happening right now across the church. We really have so many exciting things going on that I just want to share a few of those with you. Pastor Chad is doing his Waiting In study every Sunday at 6 o'clock, right when the youth get dropped off for youth groups. So if you haven't had a chance to step into that, we do that in Ashley Lounge and also Asbury Lounge rather, and also at the on Zoom. So there's a link for that. I also want to mention the ongoing studies besides the new Waiting In study that Pastor Chad is doing. We have our Lectio Divina study, which I run. That is on Tuesdays at 1 o'clock, again in the lounge or on Zoom. And the Deeper Faith, which is happening on Sunday after church via Skype. The men's group, which is happening via Skype as well every Wednesday, and the Women Connecting Through Christ, which happens on Thursday. So a lot of great stuff going on. We're also running, of course, the Unpacked study, which is really more short-term than long-term. And we've just finished a section on Psalms, a 3-week study on Psalms, and we could actually go on for many, many weeks, honestly, on Psalms, and might in the future. But we're also starting a group next week on October 12th that will study for 3 weeks the Sacraments. We have just started a worship series where we are going to be exploring various aspects of worship on Sunday morning, and also we want to have some time to talk about those things as we meet together as well. So we're going to look at sacraments. We're going to look at the 7 sacraments that the Roman Catholic Church celebrates, and the 3 that the Lutherans do, and the 2 that we and many other Protestant denominations do, and the 0 that one church does, actually 2. And so we'll look at why they do and what they do, explore the various sacraments, the scriptural support for those sacraments, and what they mean to us. Very excited about that and get going on that. So that's Tuesday, October 12th. We'll start that for 3 weeks. Also, 2 other announcements. The 3 Cedars trip for the youth is coming up October 9th from 4 to 8 p.m. That is all about donuts, is all there is to it. Donuts, campfires, and enjoyment of time together. So the youth look forward to that, and I want to make sure that you are all aware of that and get your youth there, get your folks there to enjoy the event. And then lastly, we're starting a new warm clothing and warm apparel and warm drive. Let's just call it a warm drive for the DPS, Detroit Public Schools. This year has to be new, unused clothing, or warm clothing like jackets, sleeping bags, and that kind of thing. And dropped off at the Welcome Center. There are boxes there available for you to do that. So we want to make sure you have the opportunity to assist in that ministry. I want to spend a minute actually as we start our week together on a bit of a devotion, kind of extending out what we did on Sunday, which is really a celebration of what communion is, Holy Communion is. And what its efficacy is for us and how close we are to Jesus at that moment in time. So what I'm going to read from today is a section of a book called This Holy Mystery, which is a United Methodist study of Holy Communion. I've run a class on it for us before. We'll use some of this in our sacrament piece on the Unpacked groups coming up here next week. But I wanted to share this little piece with you, including a part of a hymn that Charles Wesley wrote. And then a bit of a reflection on why this is important. So this comes from, again, this study, and the first part is a discussion or a little bit of a paragraph explaining, and then I'll read the hymn to you, and then I have a reflection on that. So here we go. The Christian church has struggled through the centuries to understand just how Christ is present in Holy Communion. Arguments and divisions have occurred over the matter, quite frankly, for centuries. The Wesleyan tradition affirms the reality of Christ's presence, although it does not claim to be able to explain it fully. John and Charles Wesley wrote 166 hymns on the Lord's Supper alone, and they are a rich source of study for us in order to appreciate the Wesleyan understanding of the presence of Christ in the Eucharist. One of these hymns expresses both the reality and the mystery. And now I want to quote directly from this hymn. The hymn is titled, "Oh, the Depth of Love Divine," which is also the first line of the hymn itself. Oh, the depth of love divine, the unfathomable grace. Who shall say how bread and wine God into us conveys? How the bread his flesh imparts, how the wine transmits his blood, fills his faithful people's hearts with all the life of God. Sure and real is the grace, the manner be unknown. Only meet us in thy ways and perfect us in one. Let us taste the heavenly powers. Lord, we ask for nothing more. Thine to bless, 'tis our only ours to wonder and adore. Lord, we ask for nothing more. Thine to bless, 'tis only ours to wonder and adore. There is a mystery here. There is a mystery that is not fully explainable, but the Methodist faith, the Wesleyan tradition, Presbyterian tradition, which is where I grew up, believes very strongly in the presence and the power of Jesus in that mystery. We don't know how this all works. We just know that it does. And my example for that is in this very simple little thing that we have been using when we have the elements for worship during our time where we've been struggling with COVID, struggling with the safety of COVID. And so we have been using, when we finally got to the point where we felt we could gather together, we have been using these little packets with a small wafer of bread and the juice in the bottom as our vehicle for taking Holy Communion together. Now, it won't always be the case that we do this. We'll be looking at other options here, maybe even the next month or two, that will help us break free from this, unless this becomes a safety issue for people. And then we'll probably always have something like this available for folks who are very concerned when they come forward. But regardless of that future event, what I want to point out is these have become an amazing means of grace when I extend, or we extend, the table to our homebound and folks who can't get away and to join us at church. So this little packet has become so grace-filled for me. When I and Pastor Chad went and visited one of our parishioners the other day and served her communion for the first time in 3 years, tears filled her eyes. she knew and felt the presence of the risen Christ in this moment with this crazy little packet that maybe irritates us so we can't get it off so easily, or we struggle with the juice, or maybe it doesn't taste quite right. But the truth of the matter is there's power in the presence of Christ, no matter the vehicle that we use for delivering bread and wine. Another time that I delivered communion, extended the table to one of our homebound parishioners, was the very last time she really communicated with anybody. But she communicated that day, and she asked for confession. She confessed didn't ask for confession for me, but she confessed directly to God her sins and her fears. And then her family noticed a complete change in her behavior before she died, that she was so at peace with herself, they couldn't believe it. It happened because of Holy Communion. How did it happen? I'm not exactly sure either. But I do know that the presence of Christ is available to us every time we take Holy Communion, and is spiritually present with us like we could almost touch him. Yes, we need to put ourselves in an attitude of prayer and an attitude to receive. Yes, we do. But oh my gosh, when we're able to do that, what transformational things happen in our lives and the lives of others. Would you join me in a word of prayer? Gracious and loving God, we are so thankful this day for the opportunity to commune with you whenever we can. And so we express our thanks. We express our hope to be able to do it over and over and over again, and ask you to be present with us in our daily lives and our daily activities in the power and the presence of your Spirit. We ask all of these things in Jesus' most holy name. Amen. I want to thank you for watching, and hope to see you in church and see you in some of the activities that we've got set up and the things that we're doing, the group discussion groups we're doing, and also to let you know that we'll love to see you participating in worship and all the things that we do. And thank you very much for watching. Until next week, when you see another edition of Monday Minute, this is Dr. Frank Dunbar saying, have a great week, folks. Thanks so much.